What is cost behavior? What is step fixed cost and semi-variable cost? How they are acting, how the level of activity changes will affect what? Will affect the cost. You want to know more with examples and practice questions? Be with us till end of the video. Welcome to the world of Akbari Education. This is Milad Akbari from Akbari Education. Today we're gonna cover the cost behavior, specifically the step fixed cost and semi-variable cost. What is included in this video is the step fixed cost and semi-variable cost. But before of all and everything, let us know what is the cost behavior. Cost behavior is a way in which costs are affected by change in volume of activity. What does it mean? It means that when the level of activity go up and down, what is the effect on the cost? Is it constant, fixed, or is it variable? Is there any change in the cost or no? This is what called the cost of behavior, and the management need that for the planning, for decision making, for controlling. I will come to that. If the management want to plan something, he want to see what will be the effect of change in the level of activity. Suppose they want to increase the cell volume, the level of cells. What is the effect on the cost of the company? Based on that, they will do the planning. Based on that, they will assign the selling price. Based on that, even they will think about that, should I go outsource that product or should I produce it internally? This is the decision which is relevant to the cost behavior, and that's why we need to provide the information to them. So we can categorize that. For the planning, decision making, and controlling purpose, we need to provide that information to the managers. You want to know more? Here is a link. Go to that. A full description is available on management actions on these three. So you can go ahead with that link and review that. Come back to this video. Let's continue. Types of cost behavior are four. One of them is fixed costs, which is fixed whether the level of activity go up or down. One of them is variable cost, which is changing in direct proportion with the level of activity. And the third one is step fixed cost. I will come to that. I will not explain here. And semi-variable cost, which is in this video. Two of them has already covered and a full explanation in a simple wording, and example and practice question and graphs are given. We are here in the link. Go to that, learn that, and simply clarify that, make yourself familiar with that. Come back. You can don't close this window, don't close this tab and open a new tab. Go to that one, review that. You will understand the basics and come back and continue with this video. But let's go ahead with step fixed cost. The great step fixed costs are costs that remain fixed up to a specific level and then change and then remains fixed up to another specific level. What does it mean? Here is a cost which is changing. When the level of activity goes up, it will stay constant up to a range of activity, but it will shift upward to another fixed range when the level of activity cross that range of activity. That's why it's called step fixed cost. And an example can be a classroom. It have a capacity of 50 students. What will happen if I have 60 students? Then I need to shift to another class or hire another separate class which have the capacity. So for 50, this class is enough. For another 10, I need to hire another class and I need to pay another fixed rent monthly. As always, a beautiful example is here, and the example told us draw a table for a monthly $1,000 fixed rent of a classroom with below number of students and maximum capacity is 50. Remember, 50 is the maximum capacity, and they told the number of students which we need to draw the table for is 1, 10, 50 and 70. Let's go ahead. As always, this is our table, and the units or the number of students, we have 1, 10, 50 and 70. 10, 50 and 70 students available. So what is the monthly rent for these guys? The monthly rent, what's the spell of monthly rent? I wish this is okay. If it's wrong, insert it in comments. That's wrong. So monthly rent is $1,000 for a room. It's 10, the capacity is 50, then I can have 10 students, still $1,000 for the capacity of this room. 50 students is the capacity. I can arrange the place for 50 students in this classroom, so no need for extra classroom. But when it exceeds 50, I need another classroom, which it will shift to $2,000 fixed cost per month. Now, what is the per unit base? Per unit of student cost. For the per unit, we have $1,000. Put sign. $1,000 divided by one student will be $1,000. $1,000 divided by 10 students is $100. $1,000 divided by 50 is $20. What about $2,000 divided by 70 students? I need my friend calculator, the big friend of those who are accountant. So $2,000 divided by 70 is equal to 20, almost 29. Let's pick up it as 29. $29. This is the per unit base. Let's now analyze what is in this table. You can see when the level of activity increase, the cost will stay the same, but up to a level of a range, up to a level of activity, which is 50 student maximum capacity. So it will shift to another area, which is 2,000. It will shift to another classroom. But the per unit base is the same. It will decrease when the level of activity increase, the cost will decrease, but a range, it will a bit shift upward. To know that better, here we have the graphs. It's shown to you at the bottom of the screen, and you can see it very better. One thing I am not good at drawing something, even I believe most of accountants is the same, but if you are agree as well, put the comment there that you are agree also. So let's go, we will try our best to draw something well. The level of activity is 1 student, 10 student, we have 50 and suppose it's 71, 10, 50 and 70 students. But what is the cost? Let's go first of all in total. What is the cost? The cost in total, fixed cost, is at one range $1,000, at another range $2,000. For the $1,000, this is the range. Up to 10 students, still within this class. Up to 50 students, still within this class. Here it is. But what about 70? It will shift to another area, another step, which is here. So as a general, we can say it is fixed, you can see, but it will shift to another layer, another step, and will remain fixed up to another range. So if it reached to 100, then it will shift again upward to a new range. This is for total, and let's continue for per unit basis. Is there anyone good with the drawing to help me in this one? Let me try my best. The level of activity is still, we can have it here 1, 10, 50 and 70. 1, 10, 50 and 70 student, and the cost per unit is what? 1,000, 100, 20 and 29. Let me draw it here. 20, suppose 20 is here, 29 is here, and 100 is here, and 1,000 is here. What is gonna go? Let's find out something. What about 51? If I have something here, 51, what will be the cost? My calculator. Still the cost will be $2,000 divided by 51 will equal to around $39. So let me draw that $39. We believe that's here, $39, and it's here. So let me draw the lines. For one student, the cost is here, $1,000. If it reached to 10 students, the cost is how much? $100. It's here. For 50 students, the cost is how much? $20. Here it is. So there is again curve like the fixed cost per unit. It will reach here. But what about the change to the new range? To the 51, here it is. And my cost will be here for the new range. For the 70 student, the cost will be 29. It's here. So there will be a shift again to here, and there is another curve with decline nature, and we will, even if we continue to 110 suppose student, there will be another range. The same. The below graph which shown to you at the bottom of the screen is clarifying that one. It is showing a 3 range of activity, which is like this one, and it continue. An example is here. As always, a practice question. The practice question said which below definition based explained the step fixed cost. And the options we have: a cost with both a fixed element and a variable element. I don't know. B, a cost which increases as the level of activity increases. C, a cost which is fixed no matter what the level of activity is. And D, a cost which is fixed for a certain level of activity and then increases. I recommend pause the video, read this practice question 2-3 times, think about that, find the answer, and press the button and start again playing the video. But let's continue. The right option, as I said, step fixed cost, is a cost which is fixed up to a range of activity and then it will change to a newer one. So for that purpose, the option D is the correct one. Fixed for a certain level of activity and then increases to another level. So it will increase. Option D is the correct one. Let's continue. Wow. You think of that a terminology or a point or a definition or even a part, a type of cost behavior which have 3 names. Can you believe what is inside of that? The 3 names given, which is popular. One, we can call it semi-variable cost. Another one, semi-fixed cost, or even mixed cost. But the popular one is semi-variable costs, are partly fixed and partly variable, and therefore only partly affected by change in level of activity. A portion is fixed whether the level of activity decrease or increase. And another portion is variable, means in direct proportion to the level of activity, it will increase and decrease. So they both come together and made the great semi-variable cost. Example of that can be a telephone line that you are paying a fixed monthly charge for that of suppose $100, and there is permanent call fee of $1. So this permanent call fee is variable, and the fixed portion of a monthly charge is the fixed cost. We have an example here. They say again, draw a table for a telephone fee. For telephone fee with $100 monthly fixed charge, $1 permanent call fee, and below number of minutes of call, which is 1 minute, 2 minutes, 15 minutes, and 500 minutes. Let's draw the table before all. Okay, the table, this is it. I think so we need lots of columns here. Wish this is enough. For the first one, for the first of all, number of calls, I will call it unit. The unit is 1 unit. We have the 2 unit means 2 minutes of call, 15 minutes, and 500. 2 minutes, 15 minutes, and 500 minutes of the call. This is the number of units. What is the fixed charge or fixed cost for the month? Of course, how much? I'm not hearing you well. $100? Okay. $100. $100 is the per month fixed charge. And what about the per unit cost? The per unit, the portion of variable, the variable per unit cost, I can insert the variable cost, is $1 per minute. So $1. And what about the total variable cost? My total variable cost will be 1 minute multiplied by $1 is equal to $1. 2 minutes multiplied by $1, $2. And 50 minutes multiplied by $1, $50, and $500 is my total variable cost. What about my total cost? Let me draw that. My total cost is $1 plus $100 of fixed cost will equal to $101. $2 plus $100, $102. 50 plus 100, $150. 500 plus $100 equal to $600. This is the total cost available. But what about per unit cost in consideration to the total cost? In consideration to the total minutes we talked. We need to draw that one and the last column, I think so. So the per unit cost will be $101 divided by level of activity. This is it. 1 minute is equal to $101 per unit. $102 divided by 2 is equal to almost 51. Yeah, $51. $150 divided by 50, it seems 150 divided by 50, $3. And $600 divided by 500. I need my calculator. It's a bit tough to calculate that one. So I have $600 and my minutes are 500 equal to 1.2. 1.2 $1.2. So this is the per unit cost. Let's analyze this one. The fixed cost is fixed whatsoever changes in level of activity come at one point. The per unit variable cost is fixed whatsoever the number of activity go up or down. It's $1 per unit variable cost, which is per minute cost. For variable cost in total, when the level of activity increase, the total variable cost also increasing. For the total cost, it is made up of variable cost and fixed cost. So the same, there will be increasing trend when the level of activity increase. But at the final point, the per unit cost will decrease when the level of activity increase. So what we're gonna do, let's see the tables related to, the graphs related to this one. The graphs we have here at the below of the screen, you can see the beautiful graphs. One is related to cost per unit and one is related to total cost. Let me draw the total cost for you. For the total cost, this is my graph, and the level of activity was what? Let me check. 1 to 50, 1 to, let's suppose 50 and 500, 1 to 50 and 500. Suppose for the total cost, at first of all, I'm gonna work. What is my total cost? 101, 102, 150 and 600. But remember, my fixed cost was fixed, and that's how much? $100. And it's gonna increase to $101 by $1 when the level of activity reach to 1. So suppose this is 101, and my fixed cost will stay the same fixed cost whatsoever the change in level of activity is. For 2, my total cost will increase to 102, suppose it's here, and for 50, my level of total cost will be 150, suppose it's here, and go on like that. So the line of variable cost will be this one. This portion is for the variable cost and this portion is for the fixed cost, and the total will be my total cost. So nice. This is for total cost. As you can see from the bottom of the screen, we have the cost per unit as well. Let's work on that. What's the graph for that? The graph, this is it, my level of activity again, 1, 2 and 50 and 500. This is only estimation, of course, maybe wrong, but for the per unit base, what was my cost per unit when the level of activity was 1 minute? It was 101. Suppose 101 is here, dollar. And what was my per unit cost when the level of activity was 2? It was 51. We believe 51 is here. What was the level of cost per unit when the activity was 50? Suppose 3, and 3 is here, we believe, and 1.2. 1.2 is here. 3 and 1.2. So what we're gonna do, let's draw the lines. For the 1 unit, this was the cost. Here we can come down. It's here. For 2, this is the level of cost. For 3, this is the level of cost. And for 1.2, here it is. So to draw the line, it's the same of fixed cost per unit, a curve. When the level of activity increase, the cost per unit under the semi-variable cost will decline. Of course, this is a bit, the drawing is not good, but by the way, you can see the picture at the bottom of the screen. As always, we have a practice question. The question said a production worker is paid a salary of $500 per month. So a fixed salary of $500 per month plus an extra $1 for each unit produced during that month. So there is $1 extra payment for each unit he produced. What type of cost is this one? What is the cost behavior? We have semi-variable cost, fixed cost, variable cost, and step fixed cost. I recommend pause the video, read the question, think about that, decide about an option, and after that play the video again. But for the now, of course, what I said about semi-variable cost is have a fixed portion and a variable portion, which is per unit basis. So the right option is option 1, semi-variable cost. Thank you so much, guys. Remember, subscribe and press the notification button to receive the notification for the new videos. Also press the like, insert some comments. I told you what was the comment, and share with your friends. Our goal is that all we grow together. This world is full of opportunities and place for everybody. So share with your friends and say our hi to them as well, and subscribe. Thank you for everything. Bye bye.